Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 10. So we have quite a bit to accomplish this week. You're going to have 2 deliverables, and that's because we are finishing up drafting and revising of the research reports. So we're going to do peer review on them. And we're also starting to work on your final major project, which is the opinion piece. So opinion writing it's really kind of a perfect thing to do after you've done your research. Typically, we are accustomed to sharing our opinion before we do any research. Sorry about that. But in this case, you obviously did all this research and now you get to share your opinion. So a lot of times students find this to be very challenging because at this point in the semester, you've learned how to have a more academic, nuanced approach to thinking and reading. But at this point, you are still going to have kind of an academic and nuanced approach, but you're going to share an informed opinion. So your next major assignment for it, you get to actually choose your genre. So you can either write an op-ed or a letter to the editor, and I'll explain that to you briefly or shortly. And your writing exercise this week will help you to analyze those genres and identify any biases that might shape your writing. So you will do that through a voice thread, and then you also have a peer review exercise due. Now, this is really important. So a lot of times students feel kind of surprised at how short op-eds and letter to the editor pieces are, because it does take quite a bit of work to create an effective one, but it is a very short genre. So, some of them, like some of the letter to the editors, are like 150 words. So that's pretty short. Op-eds can be a little bit longer, sometimes up to 750 words, but it depends on the newspaper that you're going to target. So just keep that in mind. Now, we're going to focus really on writing for a real audience this week. So that's also kind of different because even though you've been writing for an audience all semester, with your op-ed or your letter to the editor, you're going to choose a newspaper. And I want you to imagine that you would actually publish this. So to that end, you need to read the Week 10 eCampus materials. You need to read the assignment sheet, continue to read the news, but focus on looking at some examples of op-eds and letters to the editor. You should have been doing this all semester, so hopefully at this point you're pretty comfortable with the genre. And then you need to read Chapter 7 in Joining Academic Conversations, adding your voice to the conversation, which is about how to write persuasively and how to offer your opinion in a still nuanced and kind of mindful way. I also want you to look at examples. So a lot of times students kind of come to me with questions that reveal that they didn't look at any examples, or they're writing something totally off genre. So I do want you to actually look at examples. So for example, I've linked to articles that I hope will actually be interesting to you. So this is in the Charleston Gazette Mail. And this one is an example of an op-ed. And I can actually immediately tell that just by the length and by kind of the tone here. So it's talking about an overall issue with letters to the editor. You're replying to an article that was previously published. So that's an example of an op-ed. Let's see. These are some letters to the editor. So here's one that was published in the Tribune Review. So this is a letter to the editor, and we can tell not only because it's labeled as such, but because it's very short and the person signs their name at the end. So it's more so formatted as a letter. And then also notice that it's specifically kind of referencing another article that was published in the Tribune Review. So it's more focused and kind of responding to an issue that this newspaper published on. So you're also going to look through the assignment sheet, which will kind of inform you about what is expected for this assignment. So let's take a quick look. So your purpose is to persuade, and you have a genre option. So you can either do an op-ed or a letter to the editor, once again. And you are going to write a cover letter. In your cover letter, you're going to need to include a link to the newspaper and submission guidelines that you followed. So for every newspaper, there are guidelines. So for example, if you want to target the New York Times, then you would read the guidelines that have been provided, which are unfortunately not showing up here, but you would read those and you would include the URL. You'll also describe any trouble spots that you faced. Now, the audience for both op-eds and letters to the editor are newspaper readers, specifically the readers of the newspaper you're targeting. So even though letters to the editor may seem like they're just written to an editor, they're actually still for a general readership of that newspaper. But your secondary audience is the editor, because you have to obviously convince this editor, you have to write a persuasive and interesting enough piece that the editor is going to want to publish your piece. And then, of course, I'm a third audience. In terms of conventions, again, these are very short. So you're going to look at, once again, some examples of op-eds and letters to the editor, and then you'll use the guidelines for the newspaper that you choose. You're going to submit with single spacing, like so. And then the grading, there will be a grading rubric as well for you that will be attached here. All right. So then once you've kind of familiarized yourself with the opinion piece text and genre, you can actually complete your voice thread. So let me move that around. Let's see if I can do that. Yeah. Okay, so you'll do that, then you'll do the voice thread. So the voice thread instructions are as follows. So essentially what you need to do is you need to take a test that is going to help you to identify any biases that you have. And then what you're going to do is you're going to reflect on your results of the test, and you're going to just kind of describe in your voice thread any of the biases that you have about your topic that might influence the way that you approach it. And the point here is that we're all humans, right? So we have subjective viewpoints. We are subjects, individual subjects, but being aware of your biases and trying to work around them is really key in having a successful project. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to do a genre analysis. Actually, you can do them in whatever order you like, but you're going to do a genre analysis of one of the op-eds or letters to the editor in the many, many links that I provide you with. And you're going to share in your voice thread, what is the text purpose? Who is the audience? What are the conventions? So you're going to kind of talk through an analysis of that genre. Make sure that you say which piece you're analyzing. And then, of course, you post your voice thread here. You click the link and you go ahead and click, once it has loaded, you would click, you would go to individual voice thread, create new voice thread, add media, and then you can record a video or audio right here. So those are your instructions for the voice thread. And then the other thing that you're doing, and the voice thread is a participation exercise. So just keep that in mind. It's graded as participation. Now you also have a writing exercise this week, and it is a peer review exercise. So you're using the same kind of format and letter that you've used all semester, but you're going to be giving your peers feedback on their research reports. So look through this and make sure that you focus it on the research report. So that's week 10. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out, and happy peer reviewing and brainstorming this week. Thank you.